Welcome everyone to another Fraud Watch Friday. Thank you for joining us here on a beautiful Friday. And we have got a really interesting topic. But first of all, I'd like to say welcome back to our Fraud Watch lead volunteer, Kay Tomlinson. Hi, Kay. How are things with you?
Hi, doing really well. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. It's nice to be back. It's always nice to go on vacation, but it's always nice to come back home too.
Yeah. But Kay, as all our volunteers do, deserve to take a vacation, so we had to let her go. But I also wanted to say thank you to Andy Meyer, who filled in and did a very popular and well-received presentation last month. He's also a Fraud Watch volunteer, and I think he's on with us
Yes.
today
Hey,
as well.
Right here.
Hi,
everyone.
Andy. So our topic today is related to AI, as a lot of scam topics are these days, but it's kind of AI and deepfakes and impersonations. So Kay, you have been working on this topic and developing a presentation for us. So why don't you go ahead and take it away?
Okay, thanks so much, Bruce. And before we dive into AI, I just want to let everybody know, I'm also, when we get done with this, I want to talk briefly about Zelle scams, those person-to-person payments. The scams are blowing up right now. And so I want to make sure folks are aware of what's going on with that platform and what to watch out for. So maybe this is a 2-for-1, I'm not sure. But today, we're going to do something a little bit different. Yes, we're going to talk about deepfakes and AI, but we have a video that we'd like you to take a look at to start. Bruce, can you go ahead and cue that up for us?
I'm not a real person, and that's the point. Tonight's episode is a little different and a little more important.
Artificial intelligence, or AI, can make fake things seem very real, just like everything in this video.
Online scams are easier now because AI videos make things look so real. Like this whole place. As AI video technology gets better, scammers will use it to trick people. Here are some things to watch out for.
Ma'am, I see multiple threats on your computer. I need access immediately to secure your files. Nope, I'm fake.
We've detected suspicious activity on your account. Can you tell me your login information? Just kidding, I'm fake.
We just need to confirm your Medicare number to update your benefits for this year. No, not really.
Congratulations! You've won $1 million. You just have to pay the small claiming fee today. Nope, I'm fake.
We're raising funds for a sick parishioner. Can you send me some Apple gift cards? Nope, I'm fake.
We're collecting donations for wildfire victims. Can we count on you? Nope, I'm fake.
They can make me say anything. For example, I don't know my rear end from a hole in the ground. See what I mean?
Grandma, it's me, Billy. I'm in jail and I need to get bailed out. Please send cash now.
Nope, I'm fake.
I miss you, baby. If I could just get that plane ticket, we'd finally be together. Nope, I'm fake.
Hello, handsome. Just send me the money for the trip and I'll come see you. Nope. Sorry, I'm fake.
Again, everything in this video is fake. Our voices, what we're wearing, where we are, all of it fake.
That's pretty amazing, isn't it? This was created by Floyd Bishop, who has over 250,000 subscribers on YouTube. Pretty amazing, and not just a little bit disturbing. So yes, today we're going to talk about using artificial intelligence to create deep fakes, videos, images of things that just really didn't happen. And we should really understand that while fake news and videos and images have been around for a long time, fraudsters are now using these AI tools to make it easier and faster to produce misleading content and scams. And we know that AI videos and image generation is changing all the time. What we knew 2 years ago, 1 year ago, 6 months ago, likely doesn't apply today. The landscape, so to speak, is always changing. So after watching that pretty darn realistic video, how can we tell if a video is real? Or, as some of us might remember in the olden days, it's Memorex. You know, bad AI videos are pretty easy to spot, just like real videos that have been poorly made. But the good ones go unnoticed. So what should we be looking for? What are the red flags? Well, we need to stop and observe movements, expressions. AI can produce some jerky, stiff, or unnatural movements and expressions, and sometimes complex body movements. Tricky for AI, well, at least for the time being. So, like running, hand waving, can sometimes be tricky for AI videos. If there's people in the video, skin can typically be pretty smooth, as if the person is using just a ton of makeup. No subtleties. If you look at the hair, there might be less definition, kind of bushy, sometimes almost fuzzy or fur-like. The eyes might be distorted or glassy, maybe even a little bugged out, and it can be very subtle. I like to look at teeth. I saw a video not long ago. The teeth were spectacularly straight. And then as I watched the video, they kind of changed from being very straight to kind of uneven. It was a little disconcerting. So don't just observe, but listen. Yep, sometimes the sound doesn't match what the lips are doing, what they're saying. You know, that could be a bad AI video. It could just be a bad real video. But pay attention to the background noise in the video. Is it unrelated? Is it out of place with what you're seeing? And then look for those inconsistencies in the details. Inconsistent shadows. Shadows seem to be an issue in some AI videos. Lack of skin fold, non-blinking eyes. And on the technical side, sometimes AI videos, they look smooth, not really fuzzy, but there's a softness to them, less differentiation in the background. And it goes to the pixel count. It goes to the saturation of color and light when the video was created. On the other hand, if it's just so bright, so defined, it might look a little off-putting and it might be suspicious. So that's videos. There's a lot of things to look for, more than we've just talked about. But what about AI-generated images? I want to take a look at a few, and these were put together by Matthew Groh. He's a computer science professor at the McCormick School of Engineering at Northwestern University. And I want to share my screen with you. And if I can get down here and share, and then come here. There we go. Okay, hopefully you're seeing my screen. And so when I look at this picture, when I looked at it the first time, the first thing I saw was, you know, look at those nice faces. I focused in on the expressions, nice faces, colorful dresses. I love purple. I looked at the background. I thought, well, that looks pretty good. But then, you know, I know that for AI videos and images too, facial expressions, eyes, limbs, anatomy. So I started looking and I kind of looked at, okay, down here, here's some fingers. One, that looks kind of weird, but you know, maybe it's just weird. And then I looked at the eyes. Okay, well, this one looks kind of off compared to that one, but boy, you really have to look. But then over here I looked, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That doesn't look like a thumb. So maybe some extra fingers there. But did you notice this unfortunate lady here and the length of her neck? I didn't notice that when I first saw this image. And then as soon as I saw it and realized that's all I could see. let's take a look at another one. So here's another image. You look at this boy, lovely, nice face. He looks so sweet, but really, this image is a gimme. I mean, this is an easy one, right? I mean, I don't know how old he is, but I know that these are his legs, and he probably doesn't have 3. So that one, easy to notice right away, even far and above the long neck. This one's a little harder because when I first saw this, I thought, well, it just kind of looks off. Sometimes AI generated images, the background, the intention is to make it look as if the photographer has blurred the background. But many times with AI generated images, it's almost beyond blurry. It's like someone took a finger paints or a paintbrush, because usually even with purposely blurred images, there's some level of detail. So if we look at this, it looks like he's kind of superimposed in front of just blurred images. But as I look at his jacket, I thought this looked pretty good. Okay, if it looks like the sun is shining kind of from over here, here's the sun on this side of him, sun on this side of his face. Okay, that looks pretty good. But if you look at his eyes, they look distorted. It looks like there's a reflection coming from dead front. And if this is supposedly an image taken during the day, based on the background, why would there be reflection in his eyes? Plus, his eyes, they're not really round. That blue is just, his eyes are distorted. That's not a very big feature to notice. And of course, there are cultural issues when we look and try to decide if an image is AI generated or not. We've all seen pictures of the Pope, and this is meant to be a picture of him, obviously in colder weather. But as I look at this, the background is quite dark, like it's deep shade or nighttime, whereas it's like a light is emanating from the Pope or shining on him. And I really looked at this to try to decide what looked strange here. And I thought it was very difficult, because many times it's very difficult to determine what is off on an image. As you're looking at it, maybe you can decide, but I also have an image that's an actual photo of the Pope. You can see the background is blurred. There's little sparkles meant to be that way. And this is meant to be the actual picture, and it is. And as I looked, facial images, facial features I know are tough. Look at his ear. And now look at his ear here. I would not have noticed that. I think that's very specific. But again, the idea being AI generated images as well as videos are getting better and better and better. So I am going to try to come over here and get back to where we were. Nope, I just need to stop sharing. Okay, there we are. And so, you can see that it's all over the place. Really good images where it's really difficult to tell. So what do you look for? Unnatural features. We saw the neck, the fingers, but look for lighting and shadows too, something that's inconsistent. If the shadows are going different directions, it makes a difference. Look for differences in textures and backgrounds. If you're looking at an image, do the background elements appear unrealistic, or do they look out of place for what is supposed to be there? And, whether it's a video or an image, question the source of what you're looking at. Check the credibility of the account or the platform that's sharing the content you're seeing. Are you looking at social media? Okay, we know this is a hub of fraudulent activity. Or are you viewing a trusted news source? Do a reverse image search. You know, easy to do. We've talked about it. See if the image or video has already been debunked or maybe shared with other people multiple times. There's specialized software now that companies and law enforcement are starting to use more and more that can analyze pixel patterns, features to ID AI-generated content. That's available for us too now. If you go to, as we always say, pcmag.com or wired.com and just do a search on AI scam detectors, you'll see that there are companies to where you can purchase this software. And finally, think about the context of the video or the image. Why is this image or video being put with this story? Is there information with the video or image to authenticate it, such as the name of the photographer under the image? Yes, that can be faked, but typically you can use that for authentication. So those are some examples, but why is it still so hard to tell the difference between real AI beyond just trying to keep up with the red flags? Because we know the red flags are going to continue to change. Well, again, technology continues to improve, but it also comes down to how we process what we see with our perception. Typically, we're not used to looking at a video or looking at a picture and just like really, really looking, taking that pause to look and really studying it. When we see something, our initial perceptions are based on experience, our knowledge, our expectations, our biases. So we don't just see and perceive, we interpret those. And it happens very, very quickly. We see, we perceive, we move on. We see, we perceive, we move on. That's what sticks in our brain. And it's out of our habit to really examine. And that's the questioning step that we need to get into the habit of taking. So I was going to say the good news is, but I don't know if it's really good news. But the fact remains that despite everything we've seen on AI, the deep fakes, the videos, the images, AI-powered scams are usually just new spins on time-proven scams. And so romance scams, phishing emails, imposter scams with text and video and graphics, very familiar scams that we've talked about a lot. And so that means that if the scams are pretty much the same, protecting ourselves, pretty much the same, being extra cautious, slowing down if we feel like we're pressured to make a decision right now, stopping and reaching out to a person or organization through trusted channels, phoning a friend, not clicking on links, secret passwords or phrases to guard against those midnight calls to grandparents, updating our account security and monitoring those accounts regularly. So, you know, after all of this, it's not easy to identify AI-generated deep fakes. And I think we've probably likely all been fooled, and we're probably going to continue to be fooled as the technology changes. It's about looking and listening closely. It's about cultivating a mindset of critical thinking and questioning what we're seeing, not just assuming that everything we see and hear is absolutely 100% true. And we need to remember that AI makes fraudsters more efficient and more believable. Unexpected content, high emotion, urgency, common elements of fraud, regardless of whether or not artificial intelligence is being used. So again, really paying attention, stopping just that little half of a moment and looking if something looks just a little off, as opposed to really being true. Ask that question. Is it live, or, hey, is it Memorex? So I will be really excited to hear in the survey, which I hope that you will take when we're done today, your thoughts on deepfakes, AI generated images, and if you'd like to hear more of this kind of information, and especially see more examples. Bruce, back to you.
All right. Well, I have to say that I looked at the first picture and I thought, oh, actually, that is pretty good. And I did not see the long neck until you pointed it out.
Thank you for saying that.
Then once I saw it, it was very obvious. And then you wonder, well, how could I have not seen it? But, it looks like a high quality photo if you're not expecting it to be fake. If you're not expecting it to be AI generated, it's easy because all of us are used to scanning things and we don't look at every pixel of a photograph. We just look at it, we assume it's real, and move on with our lives. So I think maybe if somebody puts up an AI picture in an ad you're just passing by, it's not that big a deal. But if it's somebody attempting to convince you of something, that they're credible, that they are qualified to ask you to give them your bank information or something, then it is super important to really look closely. And there is the classic example of 6 fingers or 4 fingers, but that's gonna get better too. I'll put out the first question from the chat, and thank you. If you have questions, please put them in the chat. If you're so, overwhelmed with the prospect of this, I totally get that. It's hard to know what questions to ask with technology like this. But actually, DM asks about something that you touched on, and he asks, is there an AI tool to pass the video, parentheses, deep fake, to identify AI or real video? Could you expand a little more on that? I mean, it's not just a matter of getting some software and clicking a button, is it?
Well, it's I know that I've seen the advertisement. I've been approached by a company that is pretty well known and out there in terms of their AI detection, deepfake detection software that you can purchase and install on your devices. In August, I was at an International Financial Fraud Investigators Conference, and one of the presentations was by a company that had developed this type of software as well. They were targeting companies that could use this software, as well as law enforcement, city, state, federal law enforcement, to determine and identify deep fakes, AI generated content. And so my thought at the time was, this is great, but I didn't think that it would be so readily available to individuals. I'm not sure how it works. I know it's a software that you would download on your device. From what I understand so far, it's fairly new and there is a cost. I don't know what that cost is, but if there's one company, there's more than one company doing the same thing as well for individuals. So you should be able to, as I said, go online and just set up a request for identify software to identify AI generated images or videos, deep fakes. And you should get a listing of what's available. And then you can look into each one, determine if it's something you want to purchase. Typically, things that come out new like this, there's a purchase option, and then eventually there'll be a pared down free option as well. I don't think we're there yet, but it is available. And I knew it was going to come for individuals. I just didn't think it was going to happen like in a month. Obviously it was in the works.
Okay. Well, hopefully, as AI advances, like the tools to detect it will advance, but it's like all our fraud issues, enforcement or detection takes a step, and then the scammers, they basically get to work to get around it. So it's always kind of a cat and mouse game. So, you know, it's still important to remember the things in your brain that you can use to spot fraud, and not totally rely on software tools, because, you know, as soon as a good one shows up, scammers will get to work to try and get around it.
That's true.
We've got a couple questions about the video, and I don't think we can go back and look at the video again without kind of making you wait while we try to figure that out. But I wonder, Michelle asks, could you review the first video and instruct us on what to look for in it to identify it as an AI deepfake? And how are these videos delivered to individuals? Perhaps you could, you know, talk about that in general, and if there were any scenes from the video that struck you, maybe you could talk about that, just in what to look for, because I thought the video was very good. And part of the thing with the video is it goes by fast. So if somebody does have six fingers, you have even less opportunity to spot that before it goes by. And someone asked, could we post a link to the video? And yes, I will include that in the post-event email, so you can look at the video. There's actually a longer version that you might want to take a look at. So, Kay, is there anything that struck you about the video, or anything you can tell us about what to look for in video?
You know, it's when I looked at that video, it was sent to me by one of our former Fraud Watch, one of our original fraud experts, Dave Morrow, who has since moved down to Alabama and is involved with AARP fraud down there. So we're still in contact. He sent me the link to the video because someone else in AARP had sent it to him. And so we've been sharing it around, the video created by Floyd Bishop. And I know he has other videos on YouTube, but I've looked at it several times and then stopped it and paused it to try to really inspect individual frames, you know, in stasis. And when Bruce sends that link out in the after email, I would encourage you to do the same and take a look at some of them and see if there's something from what we've talked about today that you can identify that might clue you in. But it's difficult when it's a video, because you don't really have that luxury unless you're like online. If you're looking at something you're not able to stop or pause and examine, it goes by fast. You're right. It goes by fast. How can you identify that? Sometimes, in my mind, it's that idea that just didn't look right. And so when I see that, then it makes me wonder, then I start looking further. But I think the key to this, and why we've been kind of passing it around within the AARP fraud community, is that this is a pretty newly created video with some of the newer techniques, newer technology. And as such, it's really pretty good. It looks...
That is, point out one thing you can find. This is Andy, by the way. And that's the place where even the best AI generation still falls apart with is writing. And if you look at that video, if you look at the tag that the nurse has, that doesn't work. If you look at chirons that show up on screens, that doesn't work. Anytime there's writing, the writing falls apart. Even with, I just tried the brand new Google Gemini 3 VEO, and it fails with writing. They still don't do that well. That's probably the only thing I can ever find. The rest of it seems to go away. I can never spot anything.
Yeah, it goes by so fast. That's a really good tip. I'm going to steal that, Andy, and add it to my notes.
Yeah, and then also, I would also say to Andy's point, if you want to look at a frame in the video that we showed, I saw that very thing on the guy who was holding up the sweepstakes check. And if you look at the writing on the check, it's like just weird symbols. I mean, most of it is not even, English characters. It's, it's completely kind of scrambled. So Andy is right. AI does not generate text well at all. I mean, that may change, but for right now, that I think is a clue. If you look at a picture or if you look at a video and there's text like a license plate or, a check or something, and the writing is off, that's a good clue. And I also wanted to call out Myler. I believe, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, but you point out spotting fakes is difficult. A lot of real Zoom videos look fake because of motion latency, bandwidth, camera, or lighting. And as somebody who used to work in broadcast television and has worked in video for like 40 years now, I can definitely say that you used to be able to sort of tell more when something was professional quality. And, now with the advent of Zoom and the advent of smartphone video that's used on television, you have cinematic films that are all shot on cheap cameras on purpose to get a look. And like, especially the thing that comes to mind is like surveillance video. You expect it to be choppy. You expect it to be glitchy. So, the fact that it looks kind of fake, well, like the surveillance camera up in the corner, yeah, that's kind of the way it looks. Or this is something off, Zoom. Well, that's the way it looks. So so it could be real. So kind of the acceptability of a wide range of quality, technical quality in videos can help scammers sort of hide flaws. So, that's a very good point. But there's not much that we can really do about that. I mean, it is, nice to be able to get video of things that doesn't require a, professional camera to capture, but this is kind of the other side of it. It's harder to tell what is real. So let's see, I'm looking through the questions. Kay, do you see any more that we
see here?
Oh, here's one. Here's one that we did not take, and it's from Linda. And the question is, I heard AI is copying our voices when we answer the telephone. It was said not to say anything until the caller talked. That is something we've heard about for quite a while. Is there anything that you can say about that, Kay?
Yep, the voice cloning has been around for quite a while. And so, I've heard everything from if you answer the phone, which anymore we don't recommend even answering the phone, let it go to voicemail and call the person back. But if you answer the phone, rather than picking it up and saying, "This is Kay," or saying, "Yes," everyone has a different way of answering the phone, or even just "hello." Any of that can be cloned and recorded and used for whatever, if it happens to be someone nefarious contacting you, as opposed to somebody that you know and want to talk with. So yeah, it's been around a long time. That's why we always say, especially since your caller ID can easily be spoofed, then just let it go to voicemail and they'll call you back. And I have to tell you that sometimes I appreciate it's hard to just not answer the phone. And if you have hands-free phone in your car, it's hard to not answer your phone in the car as well, because you just want to push that button and talk while you're driving.
Yeah, I think it is kind of an evolution of norms. I mean, kind of back in the day, if you didn't answer your phone, you didn't get the call, and it was rude to not answer. And, there's a whole thing when answering machines came out, if you're screening your calls, oh, that's a bad thing. I love screening my calls, though. I mean, this is all fine with me. But I know there are a lot of people who feel a lot of pressure when the phone rings to answer it. And, that's up to you. I mean, that is totally up to you. But, Kay makes the point that if you don't answer the phone and let things go to your voicemail, you give yourself a little more time to think about what the caller is asking. And, that leads to a comment that Jim put in the comments that I think is a good springboard about about getting in trouble when you respond quickly. And that's just a core fraud safety point that goes from AI all the way to the oldest scam. And perhaps Kay, you could talk a little bit about that, because it is one of our all-purpose fraud tips.
Yep, it's the urgency that you have to make a decision, you have to act right away. One of the pillars of the signs that indicate that this is a scam. Your bank might call you, financial institution, your doctor's office might call you for whatever reason, but they're typically not going to say, you have to give me money right now, or you have to give me information right now. Number one point of an indication for being a scam. And I was just looking, Bruce, at the chat, and I think DM has made a really good point. He says that he sets his voicemail to the system default, so it removes his voice greeting. And then right after that, Linda has said, what about the voicemail message that we record? Should it be very brief? And we have the default message on our phones that come with the provider, whether it's our landline or cell phones. And yeah, it's not very exciting. It's pretty generic, but that's okay. It's not us, and it still tells the caller that there's no one available right now to take your message. Please leave a message. Done. And so I think that that's a good recommendation, because again, it just takes you and your voice out of the equation. You always hope that nobody is contacting you with, again, those nefarious intents, but why not take another step to protect yourself?
Yeah, and then also takes the pressure off you to record a clever greeting too.
Oh,
So
no kidding. Oh my word, yeah.
that's also an upside. Well, I don't see any more the questions, but if you think of something, put them in the chat that you would like to know about. But I wonder if in the time we have left, you could talk to Kay about the news on the Zelle transfer issue that you were talking about up front. I think that's important for people to know about.
Yes, and I only saw this a day or two ago, and so I thought this is a new take on impersonation scam. And so one poster says it feels like someone just recently bought a new list from a data broker, and they're calling everyone with a similar script. And, typically what is happening is you get a call from your bank, fraud alert. They're looking for information. They're wanting you to access an account, and they want to move money via Zelle. And this could be anything from your account has been hacked, you need to move your money to a different account, pay yourself scams, your fraud department from the bank calls, there's been suspicious activity on your account. So just take a moment and go into your account and Zelle funds to yourself to verify your ownership before we can talk about that. But you're tricked into using the caller's account information rather than yours, so you're sending the money to them. And this really came to my attention, a story that a journalist who's actually a sports broadcaster posted on the New York Times, saying that he got a call from Chase Bank. And he has Chase Bank, and he's in New York, and it was the correct New York area code, and said, verified, is this so-and-so? Yes. He said, because it was Chase Bank. And he kind of believed it at first. And they said, okay, so I'm calling from our fraud group, but I need to switch you to our supervisor. So he went to a supervisor. Now he's talking to someone higher up at Chase Bank. And they gave him, told him there was a problem with his account, money had potential fraud. They gave him specific code numbers to track the record of his report. And then got to the point of saying, you know, we need to have you verify this information. You can do it by using Zelle. And he said he almost fell for it. He looked back at his records and he was on the phone for 16 minutes with them. And he said, I kept talking. I can't believe, how could I do that? And then he thought, this just seems strange. And then he realized, oh, you're telling me that you're in New York. I'm in New York. I know exactly where you are. And he had thought that he had verified it because he said, are you at this address? Yes. The fraudster said, let me send you an image of the front of our building and my office with my name tag there. It was so real. He just continued to talk with them. And then, like I said, he realized, you know what? I'm just like right down the street. I'm just going to get all of my documents and information and come down and we can settle this and take care of it. No, you can't do that. You have to do it this way. He said, well, no, I just need to come down and talk to you. No, you can't. He hung up because he realized at that point that this was a fraud. But there were so many steps to create credibility, and the focus on using Zelle to move money to validate and verify his account. And it's not just Chase Bank. That seems to be the most prevalent. Wells Fargo is getting hit with this as well. One gentleman had got a call from Wells Fargo saying his credit card was over the limit. He had to make a payment to avoid fees and having his account frozen. And he said, well, I don't recognize that credit card number. That's not mine. And then he was told, well, it's most likely it's because of the fraud and we have to submit a dispute, but you have to pay the part of this balance to get the balance down under the limit first. So go into your bank and Zelle us the money to bring down your account balance. Well, a credit card company is not going to ask you to Zelle funds to them if you're over the limit. You'll just get a notice that you're over the limit. 9 times out of 10, they'll just raise your limit. So again, the idea is he had to use Zelle since his account with the bank at Chase was already in bad standing. So all of these different variations, the identity theft company has even posted a story now saying, here are the 15 top scams with Zelle that are happening right now. You can go online and just do a search on Zelle scams. You'll get a huge listing. And again, one blogger is saying somebody must have bought a database from someplace because they're just proliferating. And the thing to realize with Zelle is if you lost money in a Zelle scam, it can be really hard to get your money back because if you've authorized and initiated payment, even if it's made under false pretenses as part of a scam, it's typically not reimbursable. You know, if someone gets into your account without your permission, you may be able to contact your bank immediately and get your money back. But if you've done the transaction, that's an authorized transaction. And once it's been sent, it can't be canceled or reversed. The person has to send the money back to you. So again, huge Zelle scams. Zelle typically is not going to reimburse you for scams if it was an authorized payment, even if made under deceptive circumstances. I also just read this morning that in August, the Attorney General for New York is filing suit against Zelle because of the proliferation of scams and the amount of money lost in the state of New York. And it was millions and millions. So again, New York, Well done, taking action to try to get further regulations. You know, if your account was accessed without your permission, it might qualify as fraud. You might have some recourse with the bank, but typically not so much. If you've done it, you own it, so to speak. And then again, in New York, they're taking some steps to try to address this. So Bruce, just really, all of a sudden, Zelle is blowing up. And the main thing to think about for Zelle, same with Venmo, any of the person-to-person payment apps, only deal with and send and get money from people that you know. And that you know, like your kids, your grandkids, your relatives, your friends, and you know it's really them that you're conversing with. Not under any other circumstances, and certainly not as a result of a phone call or text.
All right. Well, that is all good advice. I'm looking for other questions, but I do want to point out that you can always get help for your specific questions from a trained AARP volunteer and a member of our Fraud Watch Network, and that is via a toll-free helpline, and it's 877-908-3360, and you can talk to somebody who will hear your specific situation, or if you have a loved one or someone that you know that you're trying to help. That's a great place to get advice on next steps and how to deal with frauds the right way.
Yeah.
Linda points out that PayPal and Venmo are other very similar apps, probably prone to similar hacks, I guess, or similar scams, at least. I don't know if Zelle has been hacked. I shouldn't say that.
It's true.
But yeah, actually, you know, all these, I think for people who are, you know, older, these sort of bank transfer apps are kind of new and a little bit scary, but they're becoming so common. I know younger generation uses them constantly.
Oh yeah.
And it's going to be incumbent on us to use them too. So, you know, we have to stay up on them. And so it looks like we're coming to the end of the questions. And perhaps it's a sunny day and we'll end a little bit early. But I did want to put the link to register for next month's Fraud Watch Friday. And that is October 17th, I believe. But you can go to that link right now and sign up while you're thinking about it. That'll also be in the follow-up email. And as Kay mentioned, there is also a survey attached to the follow-up email. So I know you get asked to create or to answer a lot of surveys, and I usually don't, because I don't think Amazon needs my opinion on every transaction. But actually, we on the Fraud Watch team do take a look at that survey. So if you have any, you know, feedback or anything, you know, that you'd like for us to do, topics to cover, etc., please fill out the survey. It is helpful.
And, you know, Bruce, I would ask folks that, you know, if they take a moment to fill out the survey, I would love to hear from you all about what you would like to see in terms of topics in the future moving forward for Fraud Watch Friday. What concerns you? What interests you? What do you want to know more about? Maybe more on current frauds, how to protect yourself, whatever it might be. I see that we have a note here too in terms of what's next month's topic. And next month we're going to have a guest that's going to join us. She's a Shiva volunteer here in Washington State, which is someone that helps folks understand and work their way through the morass of Medicare issues, not just how to sign up to begin with, but once you're on Medicare, how do you do it? And then mainly her focus as well is on Medicare and fraud. I've talked to a lot of people when I go out in the community that feel like once they're on Medicare, they kind of don't have to worry so much about Medicare fraud. But that's absolutely not the case, because scammers make billions with a B of dollars every year off of Medicare fraud. And yes, it impacts all of us because of the dollar losses and the impact on the Medicare organization. But yep, it can impact you individually as well. So she's going to be joining us. She'll do a little presentation, then I'll do a question and answer session with her. And then you're going to be able to answer questions or ask questions as well about Medicare and Medicare fraud. So believe me, she is just frighteningly high level in her expertise on Medicare and Medicare fraud. So I would ask those two things. Join us next time to learn about that and ask your questions, and then share in the survey what you'd like to see coming up in the future.
All right. Well, I think with that, we will wrap it up for this month. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for the nice comments too.
Thank you.
We certainly appreciate it. And actually, I put a graphic up a little too soon, perhaps.
Thank you.
But that's our closing graphic. It's got the phone number for the Fraud Watch Network and the website. And so with that, thank you again. Happy Friday, and we will see you next month.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.